think an advance directive is a generalized term that people use, so I think we need to define exactly what we're talking about. There's two different types. One is an instructive directive, and one is a proxy directive. So the instructive directive is the living will. What does the patient want if they're in a permanent vegetative state or an irreversible coma? The proxy directive is where they're designating a fiduciary to make decisions on their behalf if they can no longer make their own healthcare decisions or they're not making good decisions. A durable healthcare power of attorney is the proxy directive, where they're allowing someone else to make decisions for them, but again, they have to be able to sign a document to give that person the authority to make that decision. There's no statute that says that someone automatically has that right. There has to be a document in place. A pulse form is a practitioner's order for life-sustaining treatment that the patient fills out either with their physician or with their advanced practice nurse. If the document is not present, then the wishes of the individual may not be carried out, or someone may be forced to seek a guardianship. The guardianship is a court proceeding. Only a judge can deem somebody incapacitated and give the right to make decisions to someone else on behalf of that individual. So that's a longer process. That process could take 2 to 3 months, and much more expensive, much more time consuming. So an emergency situation, that may tie the hands of the physicians for a bit. It does have to be in writing, so we have to make sure that the wishes are set forth by the patient in their documents, whether that's the living will or the healthcare power of attorney. They need to have a conversation, again, with those individuals who they're designating as their agents, so they know what decisions they want to make on their behalf. And then also, you could have an ethics consult as well, if that's something that you wanted at the hospital. Well, assuming that the patient is not able to make decisions or they're not making good decisions, and if there is no document in place, or rather if there is a document in place and the surrogate disagrees with the patient's wishes as indicated in the document itself, again, there could be an ethics consult. If an ethics consult doesn't provide any benefit, then someone could seek a court order making sure that the patient's wishes are carried out as indicated in their document. The documents take effect when they're transmitted to the physician, and then when two doctors indicate that the individual has no hope of recovery within 6 months, regardless of what treatment the physicians may provide. They may become important at any particular time, so it may not be an end-of-life issue. It may be an issue where there's an emergency. If someone is in a critical state, they need emergency surgery. Also, what not many people think of is, as I mentioned earlier, when you're over the age of 18, no one can make a decision for you. So when kids go off to college, the parents may be paying their tuition, but they don't get to make decisions on that child's behalf. That's extremely important with healthcare as well, because if someone's in an accident and you're away at college, just because the parent calls the hospital to get information doesn't mean that the hospital is going to release information if there's not a healthcare power of attorney in place, if there's not a HIPAA release in place. And the HIPAA laws are the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act laws, so they're medical privacy laws that says no covered entity is allowed to release any information without that HIPAA authorization in place. When the client comes in, so it's our client, we meet with the client alone. Just specifically in regard to the healthcare power of attorney and the living will, we go through with the client exactly what their wishes are. Who's the most appropriate person to be making healthcare decisions for them? Where is that person located? Are they easily reached in case of an emergency? On the living will side, exactly what are their wishes? There may be just general wishes that they want. There may be religious aspects that they have to take into consideration. So we go through all of those and figure out exactly what their wishes are and put that in the document. We can customize the document for the client.